Hello everyone, and welcome to our SOLIDWORKS xDesign webinar. I am Lucas Hansen, and with me is Eamon McCarthy. We're both interns here at Dassault Systems SOLIDWORKS in Waltham, Massachusetts. Today we'll be taking you through some of the basics of xDesign, just a brief overview of modeling, how to do that, and create assemblies, multiple parts. Hope you've all had the time to look over the software and kind of get used to it all. If not, welcome. Just an overview of what we'll be doing today. I'll be making a very basic satellite just to show you some of the features. It'll have very basic geometry. I'll make this out of a few parts, assemble it at the very end. I won't be diving into any specific function very deeply. We do have other videos that go into that. If you have experience with SOLIDWORKS previously or some other modeling software, this may be trivial for you, so it's just kind of a getting your toes wet on the software. So to begin, let me share my screen here. Here we go. So this is going to be your dashboard. You do have all of your dashboards in the drop down at the top here. So I'm going to go to my SOLIDWORKS xDesign. We're going to our xDesign tab. Let me try and disconnect from this real quick. So you can open up xDesign a couple different ways. On your top left here, this is your platform buttons. If you go into the 3D tab, that'll be all of your 3D modeling software. You can click on the xDesign icon. This will bring up its own separate window. This doesn't necessarily put it onto your dashboard. If you want to have it on your dashboard in the back here, you can go ahead and click and drag this over. You can do that with every application that's in that platform button as well. So I'm going to bring this over. So now we're going to create a new component. You can also import components that are from your own files on your computer or on the platform as well. We'll select new component here. It's going to ask you for a collaborative space to work within. I'm going to go ahead and use my test folder. So this is your initial workspace here. The thing in the back is all of your 3D workspace. Your left tab here, this panel is your design manager. This is where all of your sketches and features will be populated. As we start to model, you'll see that this will populate here. You can name your part at the very top here. If I can get into it. There we go. So we're going to make this the satellite body. So I'm going to begin sketching on one of these three planes. I'll choose the XY plane. We can either select the pop-out ribbon here, sketch, or we can come down to our sketch ribbon. I forgot to mention at the very bottom here, all of this is your ribbon. You can hide this with the little caret here, and it has all of your feature tools, surface tools, design guidance. If you want to do analysis on it, you can do all of that through this. We also have our view section here. This is going to bring up all of your view cube, any specific thing you'd like to do, like a section view. So we're coming back to our sketch tab. We're going to make a very basic cube profile for the center of it. I'm going to click on our rectangle tool, and we're going to start at the origin. I'm going to go ahead and use the center rectangle for this, drawing our rectangle outward. And now, as everything here is currently blue, that means that this is undefined. If you were to click on any point in this and drag it around, it will move. So we're going to need to dimension everything. I'm going to make this a 100 millimeter by 100 millimeter cube. So you can dimension everything out individually, or if you have one thing that is already defined, you should be able to click on both of these lines while holding Shift and make them equal to each other. So now this line is also 100. Everything is now black. You can click on it, drag it around, it won't move at all. It's fully defined. Now we're going to bring this into a solid body by using our extrude tool in the feature tab. So down here we have extrude. You click that and it'll we'll have this little pop-out window. Now this should already be selected. If this is not selected, you go ahead and click on it, and it will populate in the profile section. So there's two ways that we can bring this into a solid. We can either select the distance here, or if we want to click on the center arrow, we can simply pull this out. I'm going to go ahead and select 100 millimeters. So now we have our cube in space. I'm going to go ahead and make on the sides here a circle that's set in so that we can mount the satellite's solar panels to it. So by clicking on this face, on this pop-out ribbon, we can select Sketch, and we'll begin using that face as a sketching plane. So coming in here, I'm going to use the circle tool. I'm going to start drawing in the center of this. Again, this is blue, so we need to define it in such a way that it's fully constrained. This looks like this relation here, means that it is coincident in vertical fashion. I'm going to go ahead and give it a distance halfway up this, or halfway down for that matter. Now the only thing we're missing is the actual size of the circle here. I'm going to go ahead and choose 20 millimeters on this. So now we have that fully sketched on the side there. Everything is fully defined. We're going to go ahead and cut this in. So with our feature tab on the drop-out box from the extrude button, you have extrude cut. This does exactly like you would think, the opposite of the extrude. It will cut into your solid body. So I'm going to go ahead and choose 20 millimeters here. Pressing the green check to solidify those values. So now we have one side cut in. There are a couple ways that we could bring that over to the other side. We could go ahead and do the same process that we had before, or we could simply mirror it. The only thing to mirror, we do need a plane that is in the middle to mirror this. If we did not have this plane already existing in the middle, we can go ahead and make a new plane for reference. So down here on our plane button, we're going to select that, and it's going to have this little pop-out window. If you're familiar with SOLIDWORKS, there's typical relations that you could bring in here, how you would want it to go. The xDesign software tries to auto-relate these things. So if you do it as simply as possible, it usually works out. So I'm going to select this face here, and it will make a plane parallel to that. And if I select the other side, it's going to make it directly in between both of those, so at the very midpoint of this cube. So I'm going to press the green check, and that's going to create that new plane. So now I'm going to go ahead and mirror this. In our feature tab, we have our mirror tool down here. Again, another pop-out window. We're going to select the plane that we would like to mirror it about. You can either click on it here or in our design manager on the side. And then the item, we can simply select one part of that arc. And the yellow is going to show where it is actually going to mirror this. Pressing the green check solidifies that. So now we have both of the mounting locations done. I'm going to go ahead and on the back side of this create a expansion bay, if you will. We're going to do the same process. Click on the face that we want to begin sketching on. Click Edit Sketch. That's going to bring us normal to the plane there. We're going to use our circle tool again. I'm going to go from the middle of this. Sometimes it will try to auto-snap to certain locations. If that doesn't work out for you, you can simply put it anywhere and then define it with distances. So if I would like, I can go ahead and click on the origin, click on the center of the circle. On this little pop-out ribbon, we have a bunch of relations here. So I would like these both vertical to each other. And now we would like this exactly in the center of this location. We're going to use our distance tool. Select the center point in the top line. Make it 50. Something interesting about xDesign compared to SOLIDWORKS, it doesn't seem to work when you measure off of the outer radius of the circle to the line. It will give you the minimum distance rather than the center to the edge distance. So that's just something to note. And if I would like to make this the exact size of our cube here, it would be a 100 millimeter diameter. We can either dimension that out or again use our relations. So we can select the edge of the circle here, select the top line while holding shift, and then on the relations tab we can make it tangent. And as we select that, you can see it fully defines this inner circle. And now as I rotate around it, you can see it is on that one face. We're going to come down to the feature tab. We're going to extrude this out. I'm going to go ahead and just keep things consistent and use 100 millimeters. So now we have that on the back side. Now this looks very blocky and very simple. So I'm going to go ahead and break some of these edges on the top and bottom, as well as the cylinder on the back side here. So we can do so using our fillet tool. This is going to create rounds. There is also a chamfer tool, which will create flat sections on the corners. So choosing our fillet tool, we can select our radius that we would like. I will choose 5 millimeters. And now you can select each edge that you would like it applied to. Or if you would like to do every edge that is touching a face, you can click on that face itself and it will grab every edge. So I will use the top and bottom as well as the face of this. And we'll actually bring that up in the radius to 10 millimeters. Pressing the green check solidifies this all here. Now, I guess we should give it a little antenna, so we're going to make that on the very top here. Again, select the face, select Edit Sketch, it'll bring you normal to it. We're going to create a small circle off in the corner. I'm going to go ahead and define this as I've done before. Actually, we'll make this in the very center, select bolting these, then we will select our vertical mate, and we will select our distance and set it off in the center. Oops. Another way to rotate around your object is if you press the space bar, it'll bring up your view cube here. So you can go ahead and select that and it'll square things up for you. So we'll take this now, bring it into the middle. Alright, and the last thing that we need to do is create the size of this circle. I'm going to go ahead and choose 10 millimeters. Now when we extrude this out, I'm going to use some of the advanced options. I'm going to create a draft on it. I'm going to go into the feature tab. We're going to use our extrude option again. I'm sorry, it looks like it jumped around. Just give me a moment. Alright, here we go. Sorry about that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to edit this sketch so that it gets it back in the center. Clicking on the option on or the item on the left menu here, we have a pop-out ribbon which allows us to edit these, something that's already been created. Obviously this is giving us an issue. I'm just going to go ahead and recreate it. Sketch. As I said before, we're going to go ahead and try to use the advanced features that we have. This will create a draft which is going to taper the object. So sometimes issues like this do happen with this software. Again, it is relatively new, so if you experience any usability problem, refresh the page. It should take care of most of this. So I'm going to go ahead and extrude this now. Nope. Oh, looks like my sketch disappeared. Sorry about this, everyone. Let me just get back on page. Here we go, sketch 5. Looks like that was a bit of user error. So now we have that fully defined in the center again. We're going to extrude this out, selecting on the object we would like. Now going under the Advanced tab here, we can select Draft at the bottom. Direction 1 is going to be the direction that is normal to it. I'm going to choose a 5-degree draft, and we'll make the distance a little higher just to bring that to a point, maybe 45. So now we have the body of this done. I'm going to go ahead and make the solar panel now. So we're going to have to save this. I should mention that you should save this frequently. Although this is a cloud-based software, I wouldn't want to see anyone's work get disappear on you. So we're going to go ahead and save as. We're going to bring this into our test folder. Save it there. Now after we save, we're going to have to click the close button. This is going to bring us back to our main screen in xDesign. We're going to go ahead and start a new component again. Common space. Then on our XY plane, we'll begin a new sketch. Now here, we're going to use a rectangle and make the 2D profile of our wing. We'll extrude that down later. Dimensioning out everything as we go. We're going to go ahead and make the top half of this 350 millimeters. Now I do want a little bit of this corner taken off, so we can go ahead and use our straight line tool to do so. Now obviously we want this to be symmetrical, so we can go ahead and select the endpoints of these lines while holding Shift. We're going to make these vertical to one another. And now we're going to make a center line down the middle of the entire solar panel. As you see, this triangle appears instead of the circle. This automatically relations to the midpoint. And again to the other side. We're going to be using this simply as a construction line, so if you go ahead and select this here, on the pop-out ribbon we do have a for construction option. Now we're going to go ahead and trim away the top and bottom that we have previously. doing so, now we have a semi-unconstrained line here. I'm going to go ahead and dimension this so that it is fixed. And this here as well. Alright. Now the best way to try and problem solve what exactly is not fixed, go ahead and drag everything along. So that center line is our problem here. If we go ahead and select it and make it horizontal, everything is now solid. We're going to extrude this out, make our thin panel. We're going to make the thickness of this 20 millimeters. Now on the end here, I'm going to make a small circle and insert it into the body of the satellite. This is going to be our mounting location, so again we select the face. We're going to start a new sketch. Using the circle tool again. Dimensioning it so it is in the center of this part. Now again, we do want this 20 millimeters as well, so I could go ahead and dimension it, or I can simply click both of these and make it a tangent relation. That will fix it within inside the thickness of that panel. Right. Now we do have to extrude this out. I'm going to go ahead and use our extrude tool again, selecting the sketch that we would like. Sorry, I'm going to get out of that and try it again. Here we go. Make this 40 millimeters long. Solidifying that. So now we have our panel done. Again, very basic geometry. I'm not going to go into too much depth about all of the functions we have here. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and save this. Same to the common space. Now that we have both of these parts done, we're going to bring this all together in an assembly. Again, closing out the part that we had. I'm simply going to click and drag this into this. So as you can see, since I lost it in that folder there, I can go ahead and use the search bar to select that now. And I can simply drag and drop it from there. Oop. Of course it goes away. Using this, we're going to import it instead of open it. It's going to make sure that it doesn't overwrite everything that you have in the space. As you can see, it drops it in here randomly. We cannot move this around currently because it is fixed. So if you go ahead and click on it on the dropout ribbon, we're going to have a float component option. This is going to allow us to drag it around. So we do have to relate this into that hole there. So in doing so, we can shift click on both of these surfaces. On the pop-out ribbon, we're going to select concentric. The green check mark will lock that in. Now we're going to make the inside face and the face of the mounting location coincident. It's going to bring those two faces together. Again, pressing the green check mark. Now we have that fully fixed in there. I am going to leave this able to rotate as they are rotating constantly. And we're going to lock in the other solar panel as well. Again, dragging and dropping this into place. Now on the second time you do this, you do not have to press the float option. We're going to again select both of these faces and use the concentric mate. As we can see, the orientation is incorrect here, so we can use the flip option. So we're going to bring it around to the other side. Same thing with the coincident mates. Selecting both faces, pressing coincident. Now I do realize we are running over a little time here. I apologize about the technical difficulties if any of you have to go. So I am going to extend this probably about 5 or 10 minutes just to make up for that lost time. We're going to press the mate. Now in order to get these both in line with each other, I'm going to select two of the faces that I would like parallel to each other. Go ahead and select parallel, bring them in line. Now everything here is fixed. As you rotate this, the other one rotates. Obviously it's supposed to be following the sun. Now if I would like to, I can also edit some of these in here by doing other sketches as well while we're in the assembly. If I would like to make an antenna on the very top here, I'm going to go in, use our circle tool, draw it in the center. Not exactly sure what happened to our circle there. So we're going to go ahead and delete it and get back to a new one. Again, this is a relatively new software. Some of these bugs kind of happen. Just refresh the page if it becomes a serious problem, and this really takes care of most of the issues. Oops. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it about there. So dimensioning everything out, make sure that it's fully constrained. So we're going to extrude this upward. Now the only difference here, instead of making this a perfect cylinder, we're going to go into our advanced option. We're going to make a draft. This will kind of taper the extrusion one way or another. Now we'll leave the draft angle at 5 degrees, but we'll bring it up a little bit higher. Should bring it to a sharper point. Press the check mark, solidifies this in, and there is your satellite. So again, this is nothing fancy, just a basic overview of the design process, how you're going to save things, how you're going to search for things after you've lost them in a folder. I hope that was somewhat helpful to some of you.